Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we're starting to work on the actual fun stuff on the truck. Just been cleaning up the cab a little bit yet, getting what was still on there taken care of. So this sill plate's off, and you can see how bad the rust really is. So we're gonna be fixing all of this. Should be fun. But first, we're fixing these rusty components, my body mounts. So we've got all the POR stripped off, which was done with our handy wheel of death. You can get these at Harbor Freight. They're really nice for this sort of stuff because POR does not come off unless you use an angle grinder or you don't prep your workpiece properly. So, you just got to cut out all this steel. This circle is right there. This is the new body mount. On this side is actually pretty good for the front two, but I figured if we're gonna do all of them, if we're gonna do 4 of them, let's just do all 6, because why not? So you can also see these are substantially thicker. This is like 1/8 inch steel, and the original is not. It's maybe 1/3 that thick. So we have a nice, we can really lay some heat into this when we weld it. Really nice piece of metal to weld to. Don't have to risk burning through. But we have to cut all of this out. And I'm thinking since it's thin, I might be able to get away with the Dremel. Otherwise, I would need to go and get some metal blades for my little jigsaw, and we can just cut in here and take them out. I mean, that'd be, I think, pretty easy if I had the correct blades. The only problem is we start hitting up here with the body of the jigsaw. So yeah, and we're just gonna have to go through and reapply POR when we're done. And yeah, so I'll figure out how exactly I'm gonna cut this out, and we will get back to you guys. Alrighty, so it was quite a bit thicker than I originally thought. Still not quite as thick as that, but it was quite a bit thicker. And the Dremel was not going to cut it, not even by a long shot. So what I did is use the torch. But here's a little tip for all you guys watching this, and gals. When you go to use the torch, any marks you make with a paint marker or a permanent marker, they all burn off and you don't know where you're going. So what you do is you can still see a little bit of it right here, is you make a little shallow cut right there. So I would cut out my entire diameter with the Dremel, and then you follow that with the torch. It's a permanent scar in the metal that will not burn away until you blast it out with the torch. So all I gotta do is clean up the hole, and this piece should fit. We're pretty close, actually. We just got little bits of trimming and do here and there, and it should just drop right into place, and then we can tack her in and just tack them. We're gonna tack them all in for now. For the cab, we're gonna tack every single one in, and then we will measure, do cross measurements, and do forward and back and side to side measurements, and compare that with the holes on the cab. So what I'm saying is we'll tack it in, then we'll rest the body mounts on here, take all our measurements, measure the same distance from the cab, and if that checks out, then we will go ahead and we're going to run full beads all the way around everything, and then grind it down, make it look like a seamless piece from the top at least. So really, when I say we're going to set this in, we're really going to push it up so that it's flush with the top of the body mount, and then tack it in from the bottom and the top, and then we're going to run a full weld bead on top, grind it down, and then we're going to run a full weld bead on the bottom as well, and just not even grind it down. Just make sure it's a good, clean weld. So yeah, we still have some trimming to do. And, yeah, I'll get it up. Alrighty, so we got the hole all cleaned up, and it's at the right size. I did not use a die grinder to ream it out. That's just my preference. I feel like I have more control without a die grinder. So what I did is I trimmed out a little bit more with the torch. So I'm very good with a torch. I have very good control with a torch. A die grinder, it's really easy to go way out. So I just used a flat file with a round side to it to get it perfect. And as you can see, the patch just sets right in perfectly. It's a hair tight, but it's flush, and we can tap it a little bit, but it's not even welded in. I'm not holding it in. Let's just tap it down just a little bit. There you go. It is perfectly flush, basically, with, oh, I don't know why this camera is not focusing. I don't know why. I'll figure it out. But it's a little bit tight in some spots, but that is damn near a perfect patch. So, and I didn't have to cut these patches, but the rule of thumb with patches is cut out what you need on your original piece, and then cut your patch a little larger. So that way you can trim the patch down and get it to fit like this. So I really just had to cut the hole a little smaller and widen it out just to get the patch to fit. But there is that. That's one. So we will tack it in, and the backs are going to be a lot easier. And we'll show you why. There's a lot more gone on the back. If you come and look, there's a lot missing. They go all right there. So I can really just knock out a bunch of material, tack this in, and then I just have to get some small scrap pieces of steel and fill in what won't be filled in by the patch. Like all this, I could probably just fill it in with weld, to be honest. And this side is even smaller, but like all this has got to go. It's just way too thin. It's all worn down, and you can feel it. It gets substantially thicker in here. It's very thin right there. It's all pretty close to the edge, though, because that's what was under the rubber, and that's what held all the moisture. And I just got to take a peek at the original frame for the F100 and see just how exactly this piece is made. See exactly where I think I should make my cut. So yeah, I'm not gonna get all this done tonight. I'll get some of it done tomorrow because it's, oh, what time? Well, I'm not sure why the camera cut out there, but it's 10 o'clock exactly, so I don't think I'm gonna get all this done tonight. I don't think I'm gonna tack this in quite yet either. I think I will get going on that rear body mount, and I think I'll get these two done, and then we will call it a night. And then I'll do the other side tomorrow, and I can get these all welded up and painted tomorrow. And then it's ready for the cab down the line. Then the frame is ready for the cab, and then I just got to do the fronts for the core support. And yeah, so it's going good. Definitely much faster than taking off all the original body mounts, taking out all 4 rivets per body mount, and taking out that cross member, taking out these up front. Definitely much faster than swapping them from frame to frame. Definitely the right choice. So we will get this taken care of, and I'll just update you guys with everything I get done tonight. Okay, so this is what I got done tonight. Nothing got welded in. We'll pull out the welder tomorrow, just because I gotta move a bunch of stuff to get it out. But we got this one cut and fitted. This one's a little looser, so I needed magnets to hold it in, but it's sitting pretty level. So you'll see this right here, this massive gap, is not from me cutting it away. That's just from the rust. In fact, there's still a little bit of paint there I'm going to have to clean off before I weld. So, yeah, so we'll just have to fill that in with weld. And it does dip down a little bit. I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see this. But you can see it dips down like that. I know there is a taper to this from the factory, but there isn't supposed to be that big dip. So I think we're just going to weld it in and leave it. It should be fine. But there's nothing, really the only thing I would be able to do is cut all this out and make a patch from scratch and put it in. But I don't think that's worth my time. So I think we're just going to weld it in and leave it. It's not going to go anywhere in the future. So, yeah. And all the other gaps are pretty fine. A little uneven, but fine. With enough heat going through the welder, we'll be able to just, you don't need the even spacing. We'll be able to just go right through and fill it all in, no problem. And because normally with these open butt style welds, you want it consistent. So when they say cut your patch a little small, that's so that when you do an open butt patch like this, you can easily have that space to fill in. But I like cranking up the heat a little bit and having a smaller space, or have the metal touching, and then just really gouging it out and refilling what you put in there with weld. So that's pretty much what we're doing over here. The gaps are considerably tighter all the way around, which is why it's held in so steady. And yeah, so that's the plan. She's getting work done, real work done, not just disassembly. This is actual forward assembly progress, which is real nice. I gotta wait for a bunch of parts to come in for the rear end. I gotta wait for my tools for my press, and then I have to wait on seals and bolts. Well, the bolts I can just go get anytime, but I have to wait on seals because I can't hang the rear end to assemble it on the frame. Can't hang it until I have the leaf springs hung, which means I need bolts and I need that press tooling to press the bushings in. So really just waiting on those tools from Pennsylvania right now. And once they get here, we'll be able to put all the rear bushings in, hang the springs, maybe even do the fronts, hang the springs off the front, and start mocking up the front axle. I don't really have to worry about the front axle right now. We'll paint it up and make it look decent. But since we don't have any sort of four-wheel drive arrangement, no transfer case, no drive shafts or anything, it doesn't really pay for me to rebuild it at this point. Because it's not even gonna be spinning. The diff won't be spinning because the hubs are locking. So it's just gonna sit there and be dead weight until I get a transfer case thing set up. And I looked at where this cross member is and where the transmission sits. I don't think a divorce transfer case would work out too well. I'd have a really short rear drive shaft and a really long front drive shaft. And there's something I'm thinking of doing. So they did run these in a four-wheel drive setup in Broncos. So I'm thinking, I found a couple on eBay for the 3-speed manuals for this transmission. They made a T-case adapter for the Broncos, and I'm thinking I could put that in, modify that transmission cross member, and then I can run a married transfer case. I just got to figure out which one I need to get so I can run the proper transfer case, because I don't want to get an adapter for a weak piece of junk transfer case. I'd like to get one for a decent transfer case, so we're gonna have to figure that out. Yeah, and then maybe in the future we'll put overdrive on this baby. Who knows? So many options. Or we might just see if we can find a 2-wheel drive front axle for leaf springs. I know a lot of people do coil spring conversions on these trucks, but I'm weird, so we're gonna keep the leaves, mainly for the heavy dutiness of it, because I want to run airbag springs in the front and rear, and really make this truck be able to tow with that itty bitty transmission. Still looking for a heavy duty 3-speed. Still looking for one that I would be able to adapt or to afford small block bell housing, which is what this is. So we'll make it work. But right now we're focused on these, and it's going pretty well. So I'm gonna wrap it up for the night since it's 10:45, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Okay, so I actually did a little bit more. Decided we got one more in, tacked in, and I've started on that one. Got the marks scribed and stuff, but it's now 1:45, and I really do have to wrap it up. So half of them are tacked in, not bad. And I did some check fitting with the new body mounts. My welds are not in the way of it sitting flush for when I weld these all the way around. So I technically wouldn't have to grind them down, but we are going to do it a little bit. You're never going to see it, but it's just a more professional thing to do. Yeah. And these in the front, I have not started yet. We'll eventually get to them. But yeah, once this is done, then the only bit of framework, like serious welding on the frame, is going to be the bumper mounts in the front that I have to make. And yeah, then it's just drilling some holes in the frame and winging it, because that's what we're doing. But I'm going to wrap it up for the night. Got some decent progress done for the couple hours that I had tonight. So catch you guys in the next one.